They told you a phone company couldn't build a real car. They were wrong. Catastrophically, embarrassingly wrong. And the proof just lapped the Nürburgring in 7 minutes, 22 seconds, and 755 milliseconds, 14 seconds faster than the previous record holder. A machine wearing a logo you used to associate with cheap earbuds and rice cookers, built by a company that delivered its first car only 10 months ago, and somewhere in Stuttgart, in Munich, in Maranello, engineers who have spent their entire careers refining the art of speed are staring at telemetry data they cannot explain. Because the car that did it cost $38,990 equivalent, roughly 389,900 yuan, a fraction of what the cars it just humiliated cost, and the man behind it all, a 55-year-old former software executive named Lei Jun, walked onto a stage in Beijing on May 20. First and said something almost no founder ever says out loud. He said, "We lost. We lost to Tesla 8 rounds out of 10. And then he smiled, because he knew something the rest of the industry had not yet figured out. He knew exactly how the next 10 rounds were going to go. Here is why this matters to you. Even if you have never sat inside an electric car, even if you do not care about horsepower, even if you live 10,000 miles from the nearest Xiaomi showroom, what just happened in China is the first visible crack in a wall that has stood for over 100 years. The wall that separated the people who make screens from the people who make engines. The wall that told you German engineering was untouchable, that Italian passion could not be replicated, that a luxury performance car required generations of inherited knowledge passed down in oil-stained workshops. That wall is not falling, it has already fallen, and almost nobody in the West has noticed yet. So let me take you back. 5 years ago in 2020, Xiaomi was a smartphone company bleeding margin in a saturated market. Lei Jun stood in front of his board and made a promise that sounded, at the time, like the desperate gamble of a man who had run out of better ideas. He promised 100 billion yuan in research and development over the next 5 years. 1,055 billion, roughly $145 billion over half a decade. Analysts laughed. Competitors shrugged. The Western auto press did not even bother covering it. 5 years later, Xiaomi did not hit that target. They blew past it 155 billion yuan, annual growth in research spending exceeding 20% every single year. And every yuan of it funneled into 4 obsessions: chips, operating systems, artificial intelligence, and robots that build cars while you sleep. But here is the part nobody talks about. While Western automakers were still arguing about whether to outsource their software stack, Xiaomi was quietly building the entire stack from stand up, the silicon and the motor controllers of the YU7 GT designed in-house, the operating system that runs the dashboard, the suspension logic, the regenerative braking curve designed in-house, the artificial intelligence that decides how power flows between the front and rear axles in the half. Second, before you understand, you are about to lose grip. Designed in-house. They did not buy the future, they forged it. And on May 21st, in a hall in Beijing, they unveiled what 15 years of obsession looks like when it finally takes physical form. The YU7 GT, a red crossover. Wide hips. A carbon fiber emblem on the hood inlaid with 24-karat gold. 10 rows of cooling vents cut into the body to manage airflow at speeds most drivers will never legally reach. 21-inch wheels wearing tires that are wider at the rear than at the front. 265 millimeters up front, 290. 5 at the back. Brake calipers from Bono, 6 pistons clamping carbon ceramic discs rated to 1300 degrees Celsius. The same braking technology used on cars that cost 10 times more. And under the floor, 2 electric motors. The front motor produces 288 kilowatts. The rear motor, a new generation unit Xiaomi calls the V8S Evo, produces 450 kilowatts and spins to 28,000 revolutions. Per minute, combined system output, 738 kilowatts. Translated into the language your gut understands. That is 1,003 horsepower, 0 to 100 kilometers. Per H are in 2.92 seconds. Top speed 300 kilometers per HR stop. And let those numbers sit for a moment. The Lamborghini Urus, the supercar SUV that costs over $243,000, does 0 to 100 in 3.6 seconds. The Porsche Cayenne Turbo GT $300,000 does it in 3.3. Xiaomi just did it in 2.92 for $38,990 equivalent. You are not reading that wrong. A Citi analyst named Jeff Chung wrote a research note calling the value proposition. His words extremely compelling. He predicted monthly sales could easily exceed 10,000 units once production catches up. Most analysts think he is being conservative, but raw speed is the easy part. Anyone with enough lithium and enough copper can build a fast straight line. The hard part, the part that takes a century to learn, is making a car that can actually use that speed without killing the person inside it. And this is where the story gets strange, because the YU7 GT was not designed in Beijing. It was designed in Munich. Last year, Xiaomi quietly opened a research center in the heart of German automotive country and began hiring. Not interns, not consultants. They hired the engineers who had spent their careers building the cars Xiaomi was about to compete against. The project is led by a man named Rudolf Dittrich, a veteran of BMW S racing programs. The dynamics work, the way the car feels when you turn the wheel and ask it to do something violent, was led by another BMW veteran. Lei Jun himself stated, on stage, that the entire development was guided by the principles of the German engineering school. Read that sentence again. A Chinese smartphone company hired the men who built BMW's reputation, set them up in Munich, and told them to build something better than what they had left behind. And they did. The chassis is called the Dragon Master front double wishbone suspension, rear 5-link, closed dual-chamber air suspension that adjusts ride height across a 75mm range, twin-valve continuously variable dampers. An electronically controlled limited slip differential at the rear that can shuffle torque between the left and right wheels in milliseconds. The car can predict when a tire is about to lose grip and redirect power before the slip even begins. The braking distance from 100 kilometers per HR to 0 is 32.9 meters. After 10 consecutive emergency stops from 180 kilometers per HR, the brakes show no measurable fade. Inside, the cabin is wrapped in 2.3 square meters of Alcantara, carbon fiber trim, red contrast stitching. Sport seats with 18-way power adjustment, active bolster support, ventilation, heating, and 4-layer pneumatic massage. The rear seats recline to 132 degrees. There is a 16.1-inch central touchscreen and a panoramic display that runs the full width of the dashboard. It is luxurious. It is fast. It is overwhelming. But the moment that defined the entire launch was not a number, or a feature, or a chart. It was a single sentence Lei Jun said near the end. He said, "Respect speed. Drive safely. We firmly oppose dangerous driving on public roads," in a presentation about a 1,000-horsepower car capable of 300 kilometers per hour. The founder used the spotlight to tell people not to drive recklessly. The body uses 2,200 megapascal ultra-high-strength steel reinforcement. The door handles have triple redundant safety systems that allow them to unlock even in a double power failure. The battery passed 1,230 separate safety tests. This car can run very fast, but Xiaomi would prefer you stay alive long enough to enjoy it. That sentence was not marketing. That was a strategic positioning move executed in plain sight. Because Xiaomi is not trying to sell you a track toy. Xiaomi is trying to become the company that replaces the brand on your driveway, the brand on your wrist, the brand inside your living room, and the brand inside your pocket. All running on the same operating system. All speaking to each other, all learning from each other. Lei Jun calls it the human, car, home full ecosystem. The same chip family in your phone and your car. The same artificial intelligence in your kitchen and your dashboard. The same operating system, called HyperOS, running across every device. A humanoid robot called Cyberone, now in its 3rd generation, already working on the assembly line in the Yizhuang factory, performing quality inspection and material transport. Xiaomi plans to deploy over 2,000 of them this year alone, and the YU7 GT is not the destination. It is the announcement. The announcement that the next 2,000 billion yuan, roughly 280 billion US dollars, of research investment Lei Jun just committed for the next 5 years is going to push this ecosystem into territory that legacy automakers cannot follow, because legacy automakers do not make phones. They do not make operating systems. They do not have a billion users already inside their software environment. Xiaomi does. Lei Jun, on that stage in Beijing, asked the world for one thing. He said, "Give Xiaomi 5 more years. In 5 years, Xiaomi will reach a much higher level." He was not bragging. He was warning. Now circle back to where this began. The Nürburgring 7 minutes, 22 seconds, 755 milliseconds. The fastest production SUV ever to lap that track. Driven by a car wearing a badge that, 10 years ago, you would have associated with budget earbuds. The wall did not fall on May 21st. The wall fell quietly, year by year, while everyone was looking somewhere else. May 21st was just the day the dust finally cleared, and we all looked up and realized the wall was already gone. The question is not whether Xiaomi can build a great car, they already did. The question is which industry they walk into next. And whether the people running that industry will see them coming. Probably not. They never do.